What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right. So the Los Angeles Lakers were able to take that knockdown blow that Portland gave them in Game 1, and they have proceeded to more or less dominate Portland over the past 3 games. I think they've been winning by an average margin of over 15 points over the last 3 games, and yesterday won by the final score of 135 to 115 to take a commanding 3-1 series lead over the Portland Trailblazers. In fact, both number 1 seeds in both conferences have come back from their Game 1 defeats and have regained the footing in their respective series, both the Bucks and the Lakers. Yesterday, of course, was Kobe Bryant Day, and it was a rather emotional weekend. The day before, the 23rd, was what would have been Kobe Bryant's 42nd birthday. Of course, this is the first Kobe Bryant Day since his tragic passing in January. So the Lakers did have that motivation coming into this game. So you kind of got the feeling, LA was going to have a distinct edge coming into this game. And one thing that you will notice from this game that you haven't really seen in the playoffs, and you haven't seen in the games coming, the games coming preceding the playoffs since play resumed, you didn't see LA play with this well, you know what I'm saying, as far as just everything coming together. The one thing that LA did yesterday, and when they do this, they're almost an unbeatable team. When you have not only LeBron James being efficient and Anthony Davis being efficient, but everybody and their mama knocking down threes. The Lakers are not necessarily a great outside shooting team, but when they are knocking down their outside shots, I think they made 17 3-pointers yesterday. When that happens, then LA is basically an unbeatable team. This is the best I think LA has played since just before the work stoppage due to the pandemic back in early to mid-March. This is the best game they've had since early March. So when LA plays like this, they are truly, a championship level team. The one thing I don't kind of, jive with too much is the way that some of the media are still trying to interject the Kobe Bryant tragedy into the storyline. Like, I don't think that's appropriate. I get it. Yesterday was Kobe Bryant Day. In tribute to the fallen legend. But one thing I don't like is when they keep trying to, say something to the effect of, is Kobe's death a motivating factor for LeBron the rest of the way? Stop doing that. It's disrespectful. Okay, you know what I'm saying? His death isn't some WWE subplot. It was a real thing that happened. Stop disrespecting him by keep putting his name and his tragedy as some part of a basketball storyline. You know what I'm saying? I think that's whack when they do shit like that. Portland, maybe Colin Cowherd had a point, man. Colin Cowherd had a point about Portland coming into this series. And what he was saying was, it was amazing how Portland was able to go from nearly 7 games out when play resumed to making the playoffs. But that may have taken a lot of energy out of Portland heading into the playoffs. And, LA was sort of basically on cruise control. So now when you look at Portland, they're not that deep. Dame Lillard went out with some type of, what was it? Something with his knee, I think. Some knee injury. He had to have an MRI on or whatever. CJ McCollum is having some issue with his back. You know, they lost Rodney Hood during the season. Nurkic is always going to be sort of gimpy because of that horrific leg injury he suffered. I'm not trying to make an excuses for them, but, you know, maybe Portland, you know, is sort of worn down already. But Portland, if you look at the first quarter yesterday, the game was over. And I think, you know, Ticket, I saw his, I didn't look at his video yet, but I saw his title. And I kind of agree with him. I think Portland is mentally already kind of checked out. And if that's the case, then I don't want to hear no more about Dame time ever again. Because, look, I'm noticing something with Damian Lillard now, okay? He's a great player. But I've noticed whenever he plays against the championship level teams now, Lakers, well, they did have that game one victory, so I'm not going to generalize altogether, but I have noticed when he plays a higher level team, you know, the championship level teams, the Warriors, you know, now the Lakers. Now, I get it, you know, there's some matchup problems, but at the end of the day, man, you can't always just keep harping about matchup problems and injuries. You got to step up. And I noticed that Lillard sort of starts the playoffs off sort of, you know, jiving, and, you know, in the regular season he's hot. In the playoffs he starts off well. He started off great last year. Then he kind of cooled off in that Denver series. And then with Golden State, he was horrible. You know, this is just still the first round, and you're playing against the Lakers. But, you know, it does look like Portland may have sort of quit, potentially. I don't know, man. At the end of the day, you have to blame certain things. You know, you blame Terry Stotts. He's not a really good coach. He's not a championship level coach. I don't like the way Portland plays. I think Portland relies way too much on outside shooting and hero ball. I don't like the fact, that they don't really try to implement Carmelo Anthony as much as they should. You know, if I'm not mistaken, I think I said this the other day. One of my problems with Portland is they sometimes get in their own way. Like, I don't believe, I might be wrong, but I don't think Carmelo has cracked 30 points this season. And it's not because he can't score. If he did, it might have been one game. I want to say his high is 28 points in a game where he should have had 45 or 50. You know, I remember a game he was playing against New York, he had 28 points. But the way he was cooking, he should have had 50. But the problem is, a lot of these guys, Carmelo will get hot. He'll make 5 or 6 shots in a row. I'm not talking about last, I'm just talking about in general, these types of performances where I've seen Portland do this. Carmelo will get hot. You know what I'm saying? I mean, mid-range, outside. He's knocking them down. Then all of a sudden, Dame Lillard wants to, you know, because he's only started off the game 1 of 4, and he has, 3 points, he's worrying about his stats. Then all of a sudden, Dame Lillard will shoot the ball 6 times in a row, maybe miss 4 shots. Then CJ wants to get his points. And then all of a sudden, Carmelo doesn't get a shot again until midway in the second quarter. Now he's cold. Now he misses 3 shots in a row. And you're looking at him like, oh, Carmelo, he just can't get it going. No, he was going, but you guys didn't fucking feed him anymore. I've seen him do that a lot. And until Lillard, this is the thing. Kobe had his years where he dropped a lot of points, okay? But you know what? Those years when he was averaging 32 and 35, the Lakers weren't winning. And the Lakers had a depleted roster. And the best player that Kobe had on those rosters at the time was, a very, very young Andrew Bynum and Lamar Odom. But once he had a team that was championship, contending, his points dropped down from 32 down to 26, 27, maybe 28. But he sacrificed his offense for the betterment of the team. He still was the leading scorer, but he dropped back down. For this team to work and for Portland to work, they have to have a better coach to me. But they got to be more of a triumvirate. Like, for me, because they have three potent scorers in Carmelo Anthony, C.J. McCollum, and Lillard. To me, they'd be better off if instead of Lillard averaging 30, he averaged more like 26, 27. CJ averaged more like 22 or 23. And Carmelo averages more like 20 or 21. Or at least 19 or 20. Instead of 16 or 17. They'd be much better off if they got more people involved. You know what I'm saying? Get some higher IQ guys around, on this team. Hassan Whiteside, I don't know. But that's pretty much it, man. I kind of think this series is over, man. That's another pick I blew because I thought Portland would be, more compatible. I thought Portland would make this an interesting series. It looked like that way for a while, but I think Portland is just, they've been exposed. So, tell me what you guys think. And another thing, man. Give LeBron James his props, man. I know a lot of you dudes hate LeBron James for whatever reason. I don't hate LeBron James. I just have an issue with how some of the media, suck him off and some of his fans irritate me, but I don't hate LeBron James. Give LeBron James his due, man. This is year 17. He's still playing at a high level. He's not the player he was in his prime, but the drop-off has not been that steep. You know what I'm saying? The only other guy I could think of, the only other players off the top of my head that I can think of that were playing, the only other guy I can think of playing at this level in year 17 was Kobe. And the only other guys I could think of that were playing anywhere near this level at this age, and they went to college, so a little bit older, were Karl Malone and probably Kareem. That's it. You know what I'm saying? And Robert Parrish. Robert Parrish was playing at a high level, too. He wasn't as good as the other guys, but Robert Parrish in year 17, that was 1992-93, and as hard as it is to believe, he was still with the Boston Celtics, still averaging maybe 15 or 16 points and 9 rebounds or something. But yeah, LeBron is going to go down as perhaps the greatest Methuselah in basketball history. But tell me what you guys think.